like to introduce my guest, Zen. Now, Zen, tell me, like, how would I address you as gender pronoun of your choice?
If I had a choice, I would like Your Majesty. But
I called
Why
you
not?
yesterday as Maestro.
yes.
So
Thank
I think I'm going to stick with
Like
calling
that.
you as the Maestro.
Thank you.
Because
That's good.
because you create things and you make them come alive, and that's what I'm going to call you as from now on. My Maestro.
Thank you.
So,
Thank
yeah.
you so much. But like in terms of gender pronouns, if that's what you're asking, I honestly don't have a preference. I'm okay with anything because I identify as genderless. It's slightly different from gender neutral or gender fluid because I don't identify with anything rather than swinging or being in the whole spectrum. If because in my head I don't have a concept of gender honestly, so it
I think it should be one's choice, and maybe even when a baby is born, the choice should be left to the child instead
I
of
don't
the
know.
parents saying that, oh, a boy is born, boy, a
maybe
girl
at
is
a
born, a
defined
girl.
age, right? Like maybe at like a
Maybe
gender.
say that at the young age they will choose at the right age or something
Yeah,
like that.
like
They
at
should write
18
in their
you
birth.
get a choice. Like what do you want to be?
Yeah,
You know?
choose options or whatever.
Like
And I
that,
think
yeah.
also there should not be any options. Like it should be fill in the blanks and you fill in whatever you want to. What about when you have to fill in some documents and all of that? So
Right. So
particular.
I'm biologically female. I have a uterus, so I guess that makes me biologically female. And I hate paperwork. I don't like having to tick one box and then having to change it later. So I'm fine with she because that's what's available right now. But if there is a they, I would,
Prefer they as
prefer
well?
it. If there is a genderless box, I would prefer it. It's not there right now, so I'm just going with what's easier.
Easier.
I honestly couldn't care less because gender to me, while it is an important subject that people need to address today,
Yeah.
the absence of it also is fine.
Right.
It's
Do you become a little angry or pissed or sad when a close person or a close friend is actually misgendering you or saying, do you have that?
not really because to me, I wouldn't say confused, but I'm enjoying the mix of everything and the lack of it, honestly. So again, I am biologically female and I'm not making that decision to go change into another gender because I don't identify with either.
Okay.
So whatever, if people very very controversially in the English language, did you know that when the language was created, the term given to people who don't identify as male or female was actually it.
Right.
But back in the day, because of how society was, nobody really identified as
it.
gender neutral.
Gender neutral.
So
okay.
that term started getting associated with objects, which is why it's a little derogatory to call
Somebody
it. But if that came back in fashion, I mean, I don't mind it.
So now that you talked about gender, what was it difficult for you when you found out that this is how you identify yourself? Like maybe as a child there might have been a turmoil within you, like.
So I guess the difference in my life, at least, is that I didn't identify. So like I said, even as a child, I didn't have the concept of gender in my head. So I didn't really pay it much attention. I didn't think of, okay, should I be thinking about this? Should I be exploring this space and identify myself as something? Because the labels are shit. Like there's
It
no,
is shit,
it is
actually.
shit.
Yeah.
Even within the whole spectrum that gender is, at the end of the day, gender also is a label. Like, one step behind, gender is a label, sexuality is a label. That ideally, if we didn't care about all of that, we would just be humans walking around, chilling out. So I used to, like I said, if I had to identify, I used to identify myself with trees. And I didn't really feel human for the longest time. Not in a derogatory way. I just thought, I was different. But my partner that I'm married to very recently, discovered that a lot of my rage issues came from not really thinking about it. And at least even that step of, okay, I don't want to disassociate with gender. I didn't do that for the longest time. I just took what was given to me, which is, people said you were female. I was like, okay, let's give this a shot. And I failed miserably. I could not. How do women wash their hair every day so much? So after failing at growing long hair and looking pretty, I thought, okay, if I'm failing at this, and I'm an aesthetician by nature, if I'm not able to look the part, maybe I should explore this space a little more.
Now, you spoke about like you don't identify with the feminine part of your life, or you didn't identify with the female part of your life. What was the experience like? What made you like, okay, this is such a disconnect?
Right. So for the longest time, when you're a kid, you don't have fashion choices, right? At the age of like 5, 6, unlike kids of today. I'm very old, so back in the day
we are old
we are old
together.
We are so old, but back in the day, like in our generation at least, you were given whatever was you would wear whatever was given to you,
right?
And my parents had terrible fashion choices, terrible. I've worn velvet overalls, yes, all of that. So initially I just thought, okay, these clothes are ugly, which is why I don't like them. But as I grew up, I was never satisfied going to the women's section of most retail stores. There's no Forever 21, H&M back in the day.
Back in the day, right.
I grew up in Chennai, so for all you Chennai guys, Saravana stores represent. It's a very shady, like really big mart. You get very cheap clothes, so that's where I would go to save money. And I never really liked any of the clothing, so I stuck to hoodies and loose pants, and jeans are pretty gender neutral, I guess. And I thought, okay, I guess I'm a tomboy. But as I started working, in an office, in a corporate environment, I'd see people look more polished. And I wanted to be that, but I didn't want to wear skirts anymore. And I gave it like a very, very fair shot. I gave it an honest 100% attempt to grow my hair out, style it. I wore dresses for a very long time, flowers and pink and all lipstick and everything. But it felt like I was acting a part.
You're putting a mask on.
It's not even, like a fabulous one, but it's still a mask at the end of the day, right? It's not you. I apply makeup every day now as well, but I do it to enhance what I already have rather than look feminine or look a certain way. So that disconnect made me think a lot, and I was very unhappy with the state of things. So that disconnect basically led to a lot of rage issues inside, and I didn't know why I was angry, which is a very weird place to be. So my partner that I'm married to actually told me, he was like, dude, you need to figure this out, just take time off, go off the grid, figure yourself out, search your soul at XYZ, however people say that. So after a lot of thinking, I guess this is